Good evening, folks. We have a breaking news bulletin that is just hitting the wire, and we are proud to bring it to you first. I quit. Well, technically, I quit a few years ago, but I'm finally getting around to making a video about why. Check it out. After learning the intricate workings of our stress response and the delirious effects of chronic stress on our health, I made the conscious decision about 3 years ago to quit the news. And to be honest, in hindsight, I wish I collected some objective data points to measure the impact, because my subjective retrospective take on it was it's substantial. Yo, what is up? Welcome back to another week of How to Health. My name is Kevin. I run liftingbalance.com, where we take aim at all things health and do it in an odd, weird, interesting, and highly sarcastic manner. Before we get going, a little quick PSA for the longevity fam out there. We have started weekly longevity challenges in the Patreon, where we as a group are taking on health and longevity in a sustainable way, adding small habits week by week, and who knows what you'll look like by week 52. So if you're interested, I will put the link below. As for today, we're gonna break down a few reasons why it may be a good idea to take a deeper look at your relationship with the news. And we'll be covering specifically why we desire it, how it hijacks our attention, which then makes its way to hijacking our health, and finally, an experiment that might be worth exploring to see if you can improve your health by modulating your news. And speaking for myself, it was after these realizations that the news. And now I get all my news from production team. For instance, I was stunned to hear that the Monstars returned to Earth to square up once again in a rematch with Bugs, Daffy, and the gang. Great game. I didn't watch it. Production team told me who won, but crazy. Looney Tunes pulled it off, returning to planet Earth. As we embark on today's journey, I want you to remember this one common theme. And to be honest, it may be the only thing you need to retain from this entire video. The news has one main objective, and it's not to bring you the objective facts and provide you the most relevant information. It's simply to get you to consume more news.
What did you say?
So why do we desire this information? Well, there actually are various reasons: to be an informed human being, to scratch the mental stimulation itch for a little excitement and drama, to confirm our biases, which we'll get to in a minute, and even tell us what we need to do in order to be accepted in the tribe, aka society.
Did we just become best friends? Yup!
And there happens to be some really interesting data around that last one. At our deepest and most evolutionary level, we humans are social creatures with one primary biological goal: to survive and reproduce. And if you want to put them in order, to survive long enough to reproduce, to pass the lineage on, to keep the species alive. And for the majority of our evolution, we needed to be part of a tribe to increase the probability of achieving these biological goals. Otherwise, chances of survival would be drastically reduced. So modern day research has actually pointed out that we trigger the fight or flight survival response when our social acceptance or societal acceptance is at risk. Interesting, right? And what do we do today? Well, one of the main ways to get accepted and fit into a group is to join a modern tribe that congregates around a common information feed, like the one on Twitter, Facebook, or a primetime flashy show that presents itself as trusted news. And because fitting in means higher probability of survival, the news itself may very well be tapping into our innate biological wiring, subconsciously making us feel that it's advantageous for survival to watch more. Sheesh, talk about biological warfare. Now, that's all evolutionary theory. Let's dive a little deeper into the mind and explore how modern day news grabs our attention and doesn't let go. How the news hijacks our attention. Here I'm going to reference a beautifully written long-form article from Mark Manson, which I'll link in the description below. In this, he points out that there are certain biases in our mind that we all fall victim to, and the news media leverages them to keep us wanting more. And if you recall, we previously covered how our bias is probably impacting our health right here. A few of these biases that the media uses includes negative bias, which is a well-documented effect where people pay more attention to and have stronger emotional reactions to negative events compared to positive ones. Then we have the present bias, which is a tendency to put more weight and importance on events that have happened recently, as opposed to in the past or the future. Next, they use narrative bias, which is the desire to arrange information in terms of coherent story structure, even if it's not true. For example, the stock market dropped 2% today because the ice cream machines at McDonald's weren't working. Makes sense. And finally, there is the almighty confirmation bias, which is the propensity to arrange new information so that it agrees with our previously held beliefs. And when you put all this together and you think about the news that you consumed as of late, pretty much all of it is negative, recent, story-driven, and supports your previously held beliefs. And the news media simply leverages our biases to keep us hooked and coming back for more, regardless of its utility. I mean, try turning on a news station and not seeing the big red banner with breaking popping out or them going crazy about something. It specializes in information that is immediate, fast-moving, narrative-driven, and highly visible. The problem is, as Mark brilliantly points out, the most important and relevant information in our life is usually long-term, slow-moving, impersonal, abstract, and invisible, and not necessarily negative. Yeah. And the bigger problem is how this hostile environment is slowly hijacking our health. How the news hijacks our health. It may or may not be a surprise that research indicates news consumption has negative effects on our mental health. It's been shown to generate a sense of pessimism, not only for the world, but one's own life, while increasing stress and symptoms of anxiety. In fact, here's what's going on every time we get unconsciously triggered by something on the news. Our 5-pound mushy membrane that sits inside our cranial cabinets is quite powerful. As you probably experienced but never actually observed, a mere thought alone has the power to propagate down through the figurative layers of the brain and alter our entire physiological and biochemical state in a matter of seconds. When we let a series of thoughts propagate in our head that are associated with some kind of negative, emotionally triggering information, we activate a downstream stress response that essentially has our body responding in the same way that it would respond to a physical threat, stimulating both the limbic system, which is responsible for our emotions, and the primal brainstem, which is responsible for autonomic functions. And when this response is activated, we upregulate the hormones of stress. And what was once a psychological stimuli is now a full-fledged physiological stress response. There's an upregulation of stress hormones, a constriction of blood vessels, an increase in heart rate, breathing, and core body temperature, elevated blood pressure, and a sharp rise in immune system activity. Why? Because we gotta fight, we gotta flight. We have a threat, all thanks to the breaking news story that was 5% objective news and 95% added drama. As you could have imagined, this physiological stress response puts your body in a fight or flight sympathetic nervous system state and puts the body in high alert for no good reason. Imagine doing this day in and day out. Imagine the impact to one's health. What was that, production team? We don't have to imagine? Huh? It's happening every single day to everyone? Oh. When an individual is in a continuous state of low-dose stress, as one very likely could be from checking the news every hour on the hour, don't ask me how I know, it's classified as chronic, which, as you know from all the other stress-focused breakdowns, which we'll link below, is bad for biological business, or not very cool for biological school. Definitely horrible for biological retirement. I don't have anything that kind of rhymes. I'll work on that one. Being shown to accelerate all things nefarious on the inside, tiring and weakening the immune system, altering genetic expression, impairing sleep, and accelerating basically every single modern metabolic disease. Yeah, yikes. Thus, why I personally quit the news. and I ain't going back. So, by now, I bet you're wondering, how can you potentially experiment with this in your life? A newsless experiment. First, we gotta keep it real and realize that if we are on the internet, we are going to be at least indirectly exposed to news and potentially things that grind our internal gears. But that right there is a lot different than actively seeking the news. And double but, remember, it only grinds your gears if you let it grind your gears. Mental framework, baby. So whenever you come across something on the interwebs where all of a sudden you feel your blood vessels tightening, ask yourself, is interacting with this piece of content right here, right now, worth my time, energy, and potential health impacts of elevated stress? You'll quickly find out that no. In fact, it is 100% not. So if you are daring and courageous, or just want to try to improve your health, here's a little experiment to give a go. For 1 full week, fast from the news. If you were like me, unconsciously checking news site every hour on the hour for no apparent reason, take a week off actively visiting or watching mainstream news outlets, Facebook, and Twitter. I know, it sounds impossible, but remember, it's only an experiment, so what do you have to lose? And how much do you have to gain? Fill that abundance of time you're gonna get back doing something for you, prioritizing your most valuable asset. This could include reading a book, taking a walk, building your knowledge, a habit, or a skill using a non-news platform. Maybe like a health-related YouTube channel. I don't know where you could find one of those. And of course, spending time with your friends and family. The options are truly endless, and you end up having a really magic health potion when you remove a stressor, and you gain a stress reliever. Now, if you are super daring and courageous, I also have a part 2 for you. And you can do this as a standalone challenge as well. Disconnect from all tech, starting 1 hour before bed and going until 1 hour after you wake up. This little hack right here actually does a lot of health promoting things for both your mind and body, which we break down in these 2 videos here. I have been religiously using airplane mode to force the issue and keep compliance high for the last couple of years now. And I will tell you, not only is my stress reduced, but my sleep has never been better. There's a whole bunch of other things that go into sleep and, overall well-being, but this one hack may have given me the biggest bang for my buck compared to every other intervention. And I try a lot of them, every other intervention that I've added over the years. So if you can, flex that airplane mode, and at the end of the day, or week, you'll most likely find that you didn't miss anything at all. If something is truly, truly, truly important, trust me, in this information age, you will hear about it. You do not need to be stalking the news every hour on the hour, or setting up news alerts. One of the worst things, turn off all news alerts right now. I will pause the video, and we will wait. Yeah, turn them off. No, I'm watching you. Let's turn off those news alerts. I know people who get news alerts, and it stresses me out hearing them getting the news alerts. Turn them off. Come on. Thank you. Moving on. In fact, you're likely much less stressed, happier, and more optimistic. Really mind-boggling how one small change could have such a substantial health impact. And when the experiment is over and you hopefully experience the benefit, moving on from here on out, try and seek out the highest value content that you can and limit your consumption to a few pieces of content per week, aiming for quality over quantity. Make sure what you're consuming is bringing value to your life, not taking years off of it. And if you end up falling off the wagon, it happens, wipe the slate clean and start another fast. Oh, and I forgot to tell you one more important thing. It's quite entertaining to get the news secondhand from people that you interact with. Just take it with a grain of salt. Huh, what production team? The Dalai Lama and Elon Musk are joining forces to make a crypto meme NFT, and we only have 2 minutes before the airdrop. I gotta go.